At the time, it was hugely controversial. The men of an entire town asked to hand over their DNA to solve an horrific crime. But it was the start of a revolution in policing that's helped catch some of Australia's worst offenders.
Just talking about it. You know, being friends with her. Yeah.
We could hear her crying out.
And there, oh, no one knows what a terrific shock I got.
And we found her on the front veranda.
And she had blood all over her, and yeah, and she looked terrible.
The small Wee Waa community remains shocked over
the horrific rape of 91-year-old Rita Knight more than 25 years ago changed the course of criminal investigations in Australia.
That is 25 years ago.
It was 1999. Rob and Dot Downey lived next door.
It was shocking. Yeah, poor old lady like that. She'd never been married or anything, you know.
It happened in Wee Waa, in the far north of New South Wales.
And when he put the pillow over my head, I said to myself, he's going to smother me to death.
As a 9 News crime reporter, I met Miss Knight.
I hope they get him and put him on a bulldog ant's bed.
It was a case that shocked and sickened the nation.
This crime had so traumatised Wee Waa that a lot of the older generation were not sleeping in their own homes.
Police intelligence analyst Chris Illingsworth joined the investigation. She'd completed the FBI's behavioural science course.
Doing this behavioural analysis training was just something else. It was looking at a crime in a way that, as police, we were never trained to look at. This training was all about identifying the behaviour in a crime scene. What is there? Why is it there? And who would need to do those things in that way?
Her job to provide a profile of the rapist.
The signature aspects, those personalised aspects that the offender is driven to commit this crime for, tells you a lot about the offender.
In the year 2000, former Detective Superintendent Robin Napper was seconded from Scotland Yard to the New South Wales Police Force, bringing with him a groundbreaking tool, the forensic science of DNA, the genetic fingerprint.
It is such a powerful tool for solving crimes as dreadful as what they've had in Wee Waa.
After learning of the unsolved rape case, Napper pushed for an intelligence-led DNA screening of every man in the town.
You just rub the barbed side of it against your cheek, up and down.
So we had no eyewitness evidence, we had no other witnesses saw the bad guy go in or out, we had no fingerprints, it was completely unsolved. All we had was the genetic fingerprint of the attacker.
But the Pommy cop met some resistance.
I got called a white Nazi by somebody. I was turning Australia into a police state.
Local men, just about all 600 of them, gladly lined up to give their DNA. They wanted the attacker behind bars.
Well, it put everyone on edge, you know, especially anyone that lived on their own, elderly people. Before that happened.
Rob Downey was one of the first to give his DNA.
If it's going to catch someone to do what they've done, why not have it? You know, it's not really encroaching on your social liberties or anything like that. The DNA testing was, put a lot of people's mind at rest.
Napper knew of Chris Illingsworth's qualifications and enlisted her aid.
She had this ability to climb inside the bad guy's brain and to find out what makes them tick.
Illingsworth predicted Rita's attacker had previous knowledge about her home and that she lived alone.
The offender, before entering the house, turned off the power at the meter box outside the house, at the rear of the house. So that suggested that he was very worried, even at night time, about this elderly woman identifying him, recognising him. So there's a big clue that this person knew misread a night in some way.
The mindhunter also suggested the attacker may have done work at the house.
So I suggested we'll have a look at maintenance people or gardeners, someone like that who comes to the house, knows she's there, gets to know the layout.
And she produced a profile which narrowed down the age gap, and her profile turned out to be extremely accurate.
As part of the screening process, all the town's men had to answer a questionnaire. Hidden among the 10 standard questions were some which Illingsworth believed would single out the rapist. She painstakingly examined hundreds of forms.
All the answers were kind of the same, nothing was standing out.
Eventually, she was handed a questionnaire which had been filled out by a resident who police had tracked down after he had recently left town.
I went through the form quickly, went straight to the key questions, and just went, wow, there's one, wow, there's another, wow, there's 3 that stood out. And I said, this is him, it's his, this is his form, this is the guy.
What a moment.
Yeah, a lot had gone into it to get to that point.
Within 10 days of the DNA screening operation, labourer Stephen Boney was in custody. It turned out he had been Miss Knight's gardener.
He surrendered himself, admitted he was the perpetrator, and so we only had to do one DNA test, and that was his. And we sent that off to compare to the crime scene, and it was an absolute match.
The mass DNA screening here in Wee Waa was a critical turning point. Not only did police catch a rapist, but it also gave investigators a crucial new tool in their armoury, which has since led to countless arrests and convictions. Boney was convicted and did jail time. And to think that this small outback town of Wee Waa played such a big role in Australia's DNA evolution.
Your memory of
Yeah.
the time is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, you don't forget, no.
Rita Knight died a few years later in a local nursing home.
And she never returned to the home, did she?
No, never ever did.
A couple of incredible investigators, they certainly led the way.